Boys.
Boys.
All right. So in this training, I'm going to break down the one skill that allows top performing fitness coaches to close 70% and more of their sales calls consistently. Now, you're going to understand what it is, why it matters more than your script, and how to start applying it immediately. If you've ever gotten off a call thinking that should have been a close, this will explain why and how to fix it. The psychology of a 70% close rate. We're going to go through the real game you're playing, the core skill no one trains, control the energy, control the sale, the art of unshakable authority, the hidden mistakes killing your conversions, the mental model of an elite closer, and the review and actions for the day. Now, the real game you're playing. The quality of a sales call isn't measured by how well you speak. It's measured by how safe the other person feels to be honest and open up with you. The moment a call turns into a debate, you've completely lost connection. It's never about proving a point. It's about creating a space where they feel safe to express themselves truthfully and honestly with you. The best calls don't feel like negotiations. They feel like sitting beside an expert or a brother who genuinely cares, listens, and helps you see things more clearly than you could have on your own. Now, that's how your prospect should feel when they talk to you. You want them to kind of get this thing in their head where they feel like you care more about them than they do themselves. Now, that means that they're going to feel real comfortable, not pressured or cornered in any way, but truly understood and guided by someone who knows exactly where they're coming from and where they're going. Connection. So your job on a sales call isn't to impress people. It's to make them feel safe enough to tell the truth. When someone feels deeply understood, their guard drops, and that's the moment when you finally meet the real person behind the surface level story. That's where real trust begins. And here's what most coaches miss. Trust doesn't peak after someone gets results. It peaks the moment they feel seen. And that's also the perfect time to ask them for a referral, because it's at this point that trust is highest. And that's when someone feels understood, not when they see the outcome. The goal here isn't to get the yes, it's to create clarity for both of you. Clarity around the problem that your prospect is facing, not the surface level one that they mention at the start of the call. Clarity around their dream outcome, so what the confidence is going to be like, what their energy is going to be like, and how their life is going to look once they go through the offer that you're actually selling them and they fix that. And then also the clarity around your bridge. So the exact process that gets them to their desired outcome. So your training, your nutrition, habits, and accountability systems. Now, when those 3 points are crystal clear, the decision becomes easy and obvious, because this is exactly what builds the trust for them to actually take action. All right, it's around clarity. That's actually going to get you the yes. So here on the left-hand side here, we have the prospect at the beginning of the process. This is where they're at on the sales call with you. And at this point, you know, they're overweight, they feel unconfident, they feel lethargic, they're maybe low on energy, low on confidence and all of this, right? And you are your offer is what is going to get them from where they are right now to where they actually want to be. So confident, you know, full of energy and all of the other things that I've listed there. Now, underneath that, you have a pit, right? A pit of pain. All of that is just pain, right? It's inconsistency, it's doubting yourself, it's feeling guilt, self-sabotage, all of the pain that you actually have to go through in order to get the result. Now, with your offer, giving them the accountability, the nutrition guidance, the training guidance, this is actually giving them the certainty, right? Because remember, certainty, we're going to go into that, but that's the quiet belief that what you're offering will absolutely help them, right? Conviction and certainty. So on the sales call, whoever is the most convicted, whoever has the most certainty is the one that will walk away with the sale or not really making the sale, right? If the prospect is more convicted about their excuses and why they can't start, then they're going to be the ones that basically win the sale and you won't. Okay, so that brings me on to leadership. So the ability to stay certain in uncertainty and hold your frame when the prospect tests it. That is what leadership is. Because throughout the call, the prospect is going to challenge you at times, right? They might ask you a question, try to steal the frame from you. You need to be able to have the ability to be a leader to them, to have certain character traits about you that they look up to and that they want to aspire to be like. Presence is what makes someone feel safe enough to be honest. It's not about being perfect with your words. It's about being fully there when they speak, showing that you are listening with curiosity and genuine interest. So the moment your mind drifts to the next question or the next objection or even the close, they're going to feel that. It's not invisible. It's either there or it's gone, right? It's either you're present, you're listening, or you're not. And they're going to pick up on that. And if you're not, then the sale is lost, guys. Because if you're not present, that means that there's no connection, okay? They might give you an answer to your question. And if you start asking them a question without even acknowledging their answer, you can forget about it. That is a dead call, all right? Because calls are one based on emotion. And if their emotion isn't being met with your emotion, right, in some way, okay, then they're just going to switch off. They're not even going to be ready or open to hearing what you have to say. So stop multitasking in your head, slow the moment down, and make the other person feel like nothing else exists besides them. That's presence. And when someone feels that level of attention, they will tell you the truth that you've never ever experienced before. People don't buy information, they buy certainty. The calmer and more confident your tone, the more they believe. Okay? Sales isn't persuasion or personality. It's a trainable skill, a repeatable process of listening, guiding, and leading. The best closers aren't like born confident. They've just trained the rep that you haven't yet. Yeah? When you guys first started in the gym, you weren't the most jacked person in there, right? But you built it up. You built up the confidence. You built up the ability. Like, you guys weren't born bodybuilders, I'm sure, right? We trained for it. So with sales, it's the exact same thing. You have to put in the reps. You have to train. And if it's something that is great to do once a week, why not do it every day? Yeah? You guys who are in the fitness industry, you know how important it is to your results when you actually put in higher volume. Yeah? So the core skill, most fitness coaches think sales is about saying the right thing. Now it's not. It's about hearing the right thing. Hearing the right thing. Yeah? Active listening isn't about nodding, smiling, or waiting for your turn to speak. It's about tuning in to what's beneath the words, the tone, the hesitation, the belief behind what they're saying. When a prospect says, I'm just not sure it's the right time, that's not a statement. It's data. The hesitation in their voice tells you where they don't feel safe yet. So instead of replying with logic and kind of like bulldozing it and saying, well, that's exactly why you should start now, you slow down. You get curious. So what part of the timing feels off for you? That one question shifts the entire energy of the call. Because now you're not trying to convince them. You're trying to help them process their own resistance with you guiding that process. That, guys, is active listening. Here are 3 ways to train the skill of active listening. Now, when they speak, listen for their tone before you listen to the context of what they said. The emotion always tells you more than the words. Then, mirror back what you heard. Not just to repeat, but to confirm the emotion that you actually heard behind it. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just repeat their words back to them calmly with a genuine curiosity. For example, I've had enough of starting over. Had enough? You see that little bit of tone and really care that was in that response? It's all about how you say it here. Because when done right, your tone should communicate safety, empathy, and authority all at once. Yeah? So you ask a question that goes beneath the surface. Because a lot of the time when people respond, they don't give you the entire truth, right? They maybe just give you the surface level stuff to get themselves out of the discomfort that they currently feel. So the way that we help them to truly give us the entire truth is by asking them another question that goes beneath that surface. So what do you think has been stopping you from staying consistent? When you do this, you will never feel like you're selling again. You'll feel like you're just coaching people through conversation. Emotional calibration is your ability to read and lead emotion in a conversation. Here are some examples of what I'm talking about. Now, example 1, the anxious. This is someone that feels overwhelmed, they're nervous about committing, and these will be their words. I really want to do this, but I'm scared I'll fail again. Now, here's the wrong response. No, you won't. I'll be there every step of the way. This is exactly why you need this. There's too much reassurance here and too much energy. You're meeting anxiety with hype, and all that really does is amplify their nerves. Instead, respond like this. Yeah, I get that. You know, you've tried before and you didn't stick with it, so of course your mind goes there. Let's just slow down for a second. What part of this feels like it might go the same way as before? The real reason why this works is because you shift from emotion to now reflection. And this will allow yourself to overcome the prospect's anxious thought, right? Because when they respond to this, they're really going to tell you the truth behind why they actually feel like what you're offering can't help them. And then it just gives you the ability to help them shift their perspective and show them why you can actually help them. Now, example 2, the skeptic. So here their emotion is defensive, analytical. Maybe they have their arms crossed. We're not too sure, but here are their words. I've already done programs like this. They just never really work long term. This is how an average coach would respond. Oh, this one's different. My clients get amazing results because blah, 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 right? This is defensive, insecure, and you're just chasing their approval instead of actually leading. Instead, you should respond like the Chad coach. That's fair. A lot of people I work with felt the same way at first. What specifically didn't work for you in those programs? This works because you neutralize their skepticism, which removes tension, and you actually guide them with curiosity now, right? You're trying to figure out what actually they feel didn't work for them in the past, so that way you first of all don't include it in your offer. What's important to remember is when emotion rises, your tone should fall, okay? And when they lose certainty, you lend your certainty, because whoever, again, is more certain will be the one who wins the call. How to master emotional calibration. Listen for shifts. The second their tone changes, pause. Something emotional just happened. So you need to watch for these shifts, because the second their body language changes and they start pacing or fidgeting or looking away or, rocking on their chairs, That's where you guys need to stop and just match their energy, right? And then slowly guide it to where you want it to be. Because you need to control the pace here. So the fastest way, guys, to lose authority is to talk faster when they pull away. Slow equals power. Now, what I mean here is if you're needy, right? If you come across like you need them and they don't need you, that is going to completely repel people from you and your offer, okay? You need to be cool, calm, collected. When these guys give you an objection, when they start to pull away, right? You let them pull away and you bring them back in with your composure, right? Your certainty, your conviction behind how you can actually help them. Your frame is your position of leadership held on that conversation. It is the quiet belief that you're guiding the call. Now, frame control isn't confidence you fake, it's conviction that you hold. So you know where this call is going and you're taking the prospect there. Yeah. So if you cannot hold frame, if you hesitate, if you over explain, or if you try to win their approval, the prospect will take frame from you. And at that moment, the call is lost. Now, a great example of this is at the start of your call. It's critical that you show up at the start of the call as the expert, as someone who knows exactly where the call is going to go, and you guide them through that by really laying out how the call is going to go at the beginning. Now, if you guys want my script, that will be in the following video where I will show the call flow and give you guys my script also that you guys can use in your calls. But when you keep frame, you stay in control of both the direction of the call and the pace of the call, even when the other person pushes back or goes off track. We do not argue, we do not over-explain, and we do not chase validation. We stay grounded and we bring the focus back to what matters. You guys can think of this like coaching someone in the gym. When a client complains mid-set, you don't just hand them the clipboard and say, okay, you decide. You stay composed, you redirect their energy, and you lead them through the rep. That's what keeping frame is in a sales call. Here's an example. Hey, I just need to think about it. This is what happens with an average coach. They panic, they start over-explaining again, but the Chad coach, he pauses, he stays calm, and he says, well, that's fair. So when you go and think about it, what do you feel is coming up for you, or even possibly now, that makes you want to go and do that? That's leadership energy, right? Listen to the way that I say it. That's important too, right? It's not too fast, but it's also not too slow. There's a certain level of conviction behind the way I say it. That's fair. So when you go and think about it, what do you feel is coming up for you, or possibly now, that makes you want to go and do that? Downward inflection, yeah? Here are some of the mistakes that fitness coaches make. You listen to respond, not to understand. You're already thinking about your next question while the prospect is still talking, and you miss the emotion, which is most important, behind what they're saying. The second thing, you rush the call. You're so eager to get to the pitch that the prospect never feels safe enough to actually hear it, right? The whole point is that we need to get them to feel safe and open to open up, right? If there's no pain on the call, if there's no true desire for their desired outcome, if none of that is truly carved out, then you will never make that sale, and the sale is lost before the offer ever lands. So slow down, guys, slow down. You lose emotional control. The moment you feel resistance, you start talking faster, over-explaining, defending your price, your program, even yourself. That's not leadership. That's you getting pulled out of your power. You give away the frame. So this is where the second the prospect asks, so what's the price for this? you break. You break. You jump to answer it instead of just staying calm and in control. So I'm going to give you guys some practical advice, all right? Here's what to say instead. So we want to acknowledge the question, but not abandon our process. So we want to stay curious and ask something like this. Happy to share that with you. Can I ask, what's making you ask about the price right now? That's you actually keeping control without being defensive and staying as the leader in the conversation. And the fifth mistake that coaches make is they treat sales like a performance. They sound confident when it's easy, and they completely lose it the moment that it's not. Now, real confident closers, they don't perform. They're just there to lead. They stay calm, clear, and grounded, whether it's a yes, no, or total resistance. You wouldn't let a client's excuses dictate their workout, so don't let a prospect's objections dictate your energy. Always stay grounded. And just remember, you lead, they follow. Now here is the review for the day, the mental model of a closer. We actively listen. So the top fitness coach closers, they don't talk more. They listen deeper, okay? They stay curious and they respond to what's really behind the words being said. Now, the second thing is emotional regulation. If you can control your own energy, you can lead anyone into making the right decision, because people buy from those that they feel safest with, and safety starts with your composure. Now, leadership. Be the expert you are. Calmly, confidently, and consistently lead in every single conversation that you have. Now, here are the actions for today. Training for mastery. Now, it's time to turn your awareness into instinct. So I want you guys to record your next or have a look at your previous sales calls and listen for how you showed up. For each one, I want you to ask yourself, where did I stop being present? When did I start following their energy instead of leading it? And when did I give up the frame? Re-listen once, not to judge, but to observe, okay? Because mastering sales doesn't come from having the best script. It comes from awareness and repetition. Now that you understand the psychology of how to show up powerfully on a sales call, in the next training, I'm going to walk you guys through the step-by-step flow that converts. This is going to include my sales script and all of that stuff. So make sure you guys subscribe so that way you don't miss that. Now, the next step is the path to mastery. Now, you've got two options from here. If you're ready to master this properly and start closing with more confidence, then book your sales performance accelerator session below. That's where we can condition you to perform under pressure, to stay calm when others crack, and to keep control when prospects actually pull back, right? And to create the certainty in every single conversation that you have. Because when you lead with composure, people trust you. And when they trust you, they buy. If you're not ready for that yet, not a problem at all. Just subscribe, keep learning, and apply what you've learned here. Because if you don't apply it, what's the point, right? If you do, your next sales call won't feel the same again. Now, welcome to the Academy, where fitness coaches train to close.